This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, all you crypto boomers, it is Paul, Bud, and George back here on the 27th of January, 2021, looking at the crypto market, chatting cryptos. What in the world is going on here, fellas? We've got a little bit of a correction, don't we?
It's another sucker punch, Paul.
Yeah.
It often does this to you, doesn't it? Bitcoin and the crypto market. It gives you optimism, and then it basically punches you in the stomach.
Yeah.
That is so true.
We talk about it so often through our training and what to watch for. And it's funny because, Jay was talking about this well before it started as far as this pullback here. And right now we've made a little bit of a double bottom here on this wave, it looks like, and we'll see where we go from here. But I'll tell you one thing, cryptos keeps you on your toes, that's for sure. That is for sure. I wanted to mention too, if anybody didn't hear Bud's story last week, you ought to go back and click on that. It's a great story on how he got into crypto and how he got started and what he used crypto for, and whether to use it to buy stuff or save, or it's just it is a neat video. I really enjoyed that.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah.
So George, you've been gracious enough to come on, and we love having you on with us on this Crypto Boomer podcast. But what is your take over the past few weeks? We haven't had you on in a few weeks. What's your take on everything?
Well, I'm glad to be back because it's been a busy little time, and I love talking to you guys. It's just I find it really interesting that there is so much talk about Bitcoin that flip-flops, like JP Morgan saying, oh, we're going to make $140,000 Bitcoin, and then 3 weeks later oh well, it's probably not going to go over 40 again. And I think that really causes so much confusion into people that are just getting into the space, whereas we've been here for so long that we know that what they put out there is just going to be flip-flopped again. And as Bitcoin makes some all-time highs, because people are just going to forget what was said to everybody at that point. So it's so, I find it frustrating at times hearing that, but knowing that the future of Bitcoin is, I feel it is up, when it's on its own timeline, and so it's hard to know. And it kind of also is in the tech side of things, where there's just so much FUD, because I think the latest was just to touch on the tech side a little bit, that there's I was doing some conversions of some pages of CryptoJ had posted like months ago. I think it's October. And there were a couple YouTube videos that he had stuck into his platform that were talking about crypto. Well, trying to convert that over, those videos were gone because, well, they don't want to hear, they don't want you to express what you think cryptos are. And so censorship is alive and well. And I think that throws confusion into the market, because we just don't know what to believe, and we're only being fed kind of what they want us to hear, and not necessarily what we feel is on the crypto market. So I know I'm kind of going off to the left on that a little bit, but that's kind of been my feeling this week. Well, kind of feeling a little bit frustrated.
Yeah, this week has really shown. I mean, you talk about censorship and how it's happening in more and more in the United States, especially, but throughout the world. But several years ago, what was it, 2018, Jamie Dimon with JP Morgan said he'd fire anybody that bought Bitcoin, while at the same time he had a group of people overseas buying Bitcoin for him.
Yeah.
It's allegedly. So
Hey, Paul, he's just as big an idiot as we are then, because he was buying in 2018.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Well, he can fire me if he wants.
Yeah, he's more than welcome to fire me. As a matter of fact, I quit, Jamie.
Yeah, me too.
You know, one of the things I'm trying to do now is whenever crypto goes up, I'm straight onto my portfolio. You know, I've got the Delta app, but I used to use Blockfolio, and I'm looking at the values, and I'm just getting excited. And then there's a massive dip, like we're seeing the drop from 42,000 down to what 29,000. And what I've decided to do is just not look at the value. Do you guys do the same?
I do exactly the same. I
Yeah,
will admit,
absolutely.
when it's flying up, I do like to look at it, but when it starts to go in a correction, I just let it go.
Yeah, I would agree. And you know, the funny thing is, like, when you've been through it for so long, you look at it and you're like, okay, it's up, okay, it's down, okay, it's sideways. You know, when it's up, you have a little bit more excitement, but when it's down, I don't feel down. I just look at things and be like, okay, you know, it does what it does. And honestly, and Bud, you know, tell me if I'm wrong on this, and Paul, like, I don't want crypto to go straight up. That
No.
is, that's a recipe for disaster. I want bases to be built so that will creep up, not rocket up.
Yeah, that's an unhealthy market, and you know, there is a difference between fundamentals and technical, and we really trade and invest with technical analysis more than fundamentals. Obviously, fundamentals do create some pullbacks and some spikes up, but if you look at technical, I think in the long term, it's a more accurate way um, to invest. It's, you know, I used to invest in or trade in oil futures, and um, one of the things that we'd watch for is news coming out and then try to trade the news. And it was amazing how often you would think the news would cause it to go down, and it would for 5 minutes, and then it would spike up. Um, you know, you just don't know how the market is going to react to a certain news story, or uh, you know, some type of fundamental change in the markets. Whereas with technical, we can go through and like Jay teaches us, we can count the waves and things like that. I was just going to go back here on the Bitcoin chart and look at um, the last run up, the last big run up to the all-time high before this one, and that was in 2017. Sorry, I went past it here. But if you look at it, you know, as it went up, you had these types of pullbacks. I mean, you had this big run up to 16.5, and then this massive drop down to 13. And so before it went on up to the all-time high. But the funny thing is, and I think Bud and I talked about it here a couple of weeks ago, is if you look at this was the chart back then, and it was huge. And then you keep moving it over and you keep shrinking it to get over here, and look at that. I mean, it makes this last run, which was a full market cycle, if you look at the market cycle, the Wall Street market cycle, but it makes that last run look, you know, fairly small.
Yeah, and that's what, you know, to kind of go back to your comment, that's what Jay taught us, like, way back in 2018. Like,
Right.
okay, this is what it is, and it's going to look like a bump on a log, and the next one is going to make this one look like a bump on a log.
That's right.
It would be nice to get some growth in a lot of the alts. You know, the way I'm starting to think about these altcoins, which are the alternatives to Bitcoin, is that many of them are like startups. And you know, the philosophy of startups is you pick one out of 100, and you know, that one will return your money tenfold. I kind of think of the portfolio, and I think, well, yeah, Theta has been phenomenal with its growth. You know, we had been purchasing that down in the what, 13 cents and below, maybe. And so that's had some really good growth. But then projects that I'm equally as optimistic about that have actually just gone sideways, down sideways for a year and done nothing. In fact, for 2 or 3 years. So I'm starting to think, well, maybe it's a bit like startups, where you do get the one that pays benefits and compensates you for the others that have almost failed.
Right. I agree. It's more of a shotgun approach as opposed to a rifle. Invest in a lot of projects that look promising and hope that, most of them are successful. If you
Yeah.
look at Theta back in March when we had that dump, I mean, I did not buy any at this point, but I bought some around the 10-cent mark. And I mean, you can see the run we've had in Theta since then.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
been,
and just in today, I mean, like when I look at, I still use Blockfolio, so I have not converted. I should take a look at that. But, PPT is, up 30% in the last, 24 hours or so. And so, when everything's down and my total looks pretty good, I'm always like, okay, well, there's something in there that is keeping things north. And so,
yeah. Yeah, this is your PPT chart, and you're right. I mean, another one is Uniswap, and that was one that Crypto Jay at Bitcoin Academy did a video on 2 days ago. And he did a video right here and gave us two options as far as waves go. This was either I think this was either 3 and then going into 4, or we were already in 5, but either way, he was right here. And I think he had a target of, correct me guys, but I'm going by memory, somewhere around the 20 mark.
Yeah.
And it looks like if you watch that video, I mean, it's just so easy to follow. We've got a 1 up, a 2 back, a 3 up, a 4 back, and now we're in 5. Fifth wave target was around the $20 mark. So we'll see. But the nice thing about the education that we've gotten is it helps us, number one, not to pull our hair out, and number two, to keep us calm in a market where so many people panic and sell at the wrong time, or freak out and think that the train's leaving the terminal or the bus is leaving the terminal, and they buy at the wrong time.
yeah. Well, and just to let you know, Jay talked about the first time he really talked about Uni was back in November. So, November, it was
Yes.
November 30th. So, it's had a nice run since he talked about it last.
Yeah. I bought some back then.
Yeah.
Actually, I love Uniswap because I'm in profit with it. So,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
and the best part is if you did a trade early, you got free Uniswap, which is even better when you're not paying a thing. So I agree with you, bud.
Yeah, even
yeah,
if
one of the things I think it's important to reiterate there, George, Paul, is that, isn't it important to have a balanced portfolio? I'm sure that the crypto boomers listening to this could potentially go all in and get really excited about one single project. And that is a no-no. Absolutely
Yeah.
not. Have a balanced portfolio. As you say, PPT out the blue is going up like a rocket, whilst the market's going down. And so that's the benefit of having a balanced portfolio.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great point, Bud. And if you look at some of the projects that are taking off right now, just the ones in the top 100, Aave and Phantom. Phantom's up 35% in 24 hours, 180% in a week. So, there's so many of these projects that even in a market where Bitcoin is correcting, they are going up. And again, I can't stress this enough. This is something that Jay teaches. This is specifically something that he teaches to watch for. So that's what keeps me from getting bummed out from like 2017 when we were hodlers, when I was a hodler. And then I started watching all those profits dissipate because I was a hodler. And at this point, we've got some targets. We know where we're going to sell. Some, maybe not all, but some. And once we get to that, we'll wait for the pullbacks and and we'll reinvest and move on. So there is a level of comfort and peace when you have been educated in how markets work, and the simple, it's complex, but Jay makes it simple. The wave patterns, the Elliott wave patterns, and the Fibonacci's and the extensions and the pullbacks and all that stuff. And the other parts of that are volume and things like that. But anyway, it's really helped me get through the past few years of a bear market. And not only that, but I was talking to another member of the Bitcoin Academy the other day, and it's helping us now that we're in a bull market to deal with these wild upswings and then these pullbacks and not jumping too soon. How about you guys?
Yeah, and one thing, Paul, that I'll add to that, and that, we don't have time today, but we should kind of dedicate one of these to the psychology of what we've kind of been taught, because, I agree with you. Back in 2017 was hodling, didn't know what I was doing, kind of got introduced to Crypto Jay. He taught me a lot about how to look at the markets, how to chart the markets, but that was great. But the psychology is the part that I feel I gained the most from it. And it's not just a shot in the arm, like, here, look at this technical and you can do everything. From that, it's more of, you really need to take it in and live it, and not just be, here, this is when you get in and get out. Because with the get in and get out, I know that I would not be doing as well without that psychology behind it.
Yeah, George, I would say that the emotions of human beings are the worst enemy in this game, because there's so many times during these big drops that the emotion is, I really want to sell and stop the pain of this drop. And of course, it's the wrong time to sell. And in the opposite, I know if I had a time machine and I went back to 2018, January to March, and said to my former self, hey, bud, sell everything, there's no way I would have sold it. I'm holding on to those for dear life. I've never felt euphoria like it. There's never been really a move that I've been involved with in asset classes quite like Bitcoin. And that was emotion, all emotion. And so now, 3 to 4 years on, I'm ready for it. And that's because of the training.
Yeah, the moves in crypto, and I agree with you, George, that the most important teaching that I ever received, and I told Jay this, was the psychology, the trading psychology, and just psychology to learn more about how to keep your emotions in check, just in life in general. I've been able to apply it, but with crypto moves so much faster than any other market I've ever been involved in. I mean, you can condense a market cycle into 2 or 3 years, whereas with gold, a market cycle is what? I don't even know. It's years and years and years. So, and the majority of the movement is even condensed further. So it's one of those markets that you need to be in my opinion. But if you're going to be in it, you better have some education as far as how to deal with the wild swings and the wild amount of money that you can make in this market.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, with that, let's, until next time. Hey, next week, by the way, I'm still working on it, but we may have a special guest that you guys are not going to want to miss. And I have gotten some permission to get some small clips of videos that Crypto Jay has done in his teachings. And also, George has been kind enough to allow us to put some small clips together of his cyber teachings, and they're phenomenal too. I got to tell you, George, you do a tremendous job of teaching, making something that for me is scary and complex, just so easy to understand. So I can't wait to share that with our boomers as well.
Oh, good. Hey, and just on that, not that it really matters, I will be on the road next Wednesday, so maybe I will. I'll try to call in and see if I'm in a clear area, because I don't want to miss the special guest, because I don't know who it is.
Yeah, it's going to be good, I think. So we're still working out the details, but anyway, until next week, all you crypto boomers, keep on investing and stay calm. Stay away from the windows. Everything's fine. Chill. Enjoy. Thanks, guys.
Have a great
Bye.
day.